Madam President.
Thank you. And again, I want to thank this panel. I felt like I knew everyone on the panel pretty well, but I learned so many new things about you and just took so many personal lessons from that. So thank you for your preparation and your inspiration. So welcome everyone officially to our final business meeting of the 60th National Conference. I know I've said that this is the 60th National Conference about 100 times, but that just feels really momentous. And so I'm very excited to kick us off in this final session of the conference and our final business meeting this weekend. We have a few orders of business. The first is reviewing an update on the official conference role from our nominating and credentialing committee. The second is hearing from our collegiate members who served as note takers in yesterday's awesome think tank sessions. I can't wait to hear those reports. I wish I could have been in all three of them. The third is accepting the report from the chair of the Resolutions and Recommendations Committee. And I think they've really done a great job of pulling in awesome recommendations and resolutions. Then we'll hear the results of our official conference t-shirt vote for our cabs. So I know everyone is wondering, what color did we go with? Blue or purple, gray, heathered, solid? I didn't even know there were that many choices in picking a color of a t-shirt, but I'm so excited to have our cabs reveal that and do our final giveaways. Then we will acknowledge our retiring members of our National Council. And last but certainly not least, we will install the 2023-2024 National Council and hear from our 32nd president, Dr. Cassandra Lucas. And so first, I would invite our chair of the Nominating and Credentials Committee, Isabella Weyerman from the Sphinx chapter at Auburn, to provide us with an updated motion to amend the official role for conference.
Thank you, Katie. And thank you to the rest of our committee, which includes Hasti Harry from Beloit College, Jasnor Hans from the University of Washington, and Elizabeth Payton from Texas Tech. At the 60th conference held virtually from July 14th, 2023 through July 16th, 2023, we had a total of 215 members participate. 86 unique chapters were represented by students, advisors, and alumni. The Jane K. Smith chapter at San Diego State University had the highest number of attendees. Congratulations. The student voice is incredibly important. Through various sessions, business meetings, and elections, Collegiate members had the opportunity to provide input and guidance for the future of Mortarboard. This year, we had a student delegate representation from 66 chapters. Students and advisors, please capitalize on your relationships and knowledge gained from the conference here to take back to your chapter. Thank you to all of our attendees.
Thank you, Isabella. As this motion comes from a committee, no second is required. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. As a reminder, each chapter official delegate should be the one to cast a vote. We will take a vote by a show of hands, and to cast your vote as an official delegate, please raise your hand virtually on Zoom. For each vote, we will call those in favor, those opposed, and those who abstain, and the Credentials Committee will assist me in taking the official tally for each vote. So all in favor to accept this motion from the committee, please raise your virtual hands now. Okay, thank you. Any opposed? We'll give it a second to have hands come down that were in favor. Okay, any opposed? Any abstain? Perfect, the motion carries. Thank you, Isabella, and this fabulous Nominating and Credentials Committee. You've done an awesome job this weekend with such important work. So now I am thrilled to welcome 3 students who served as our note takers during the think tank sessions yesterday. These were designed to ensure the student voice is loud and clear on our most strategic initiatives as an organization. First, I'd like to call Mason McCool from the University of Alabama to present a summary of the discussion on membership.
Hi, I'm Mason McCool from the Hypatia chapter of the University of Alabama. So yesterday we talked, we had 3 different really main topics that we were discussing with membership. The first was allowing rising juniors to apply for membership. The second, allowing graduate students to apply for membership. And then the third topic was with the selections timeline, whether rolling or multi-year selections would serve better for each chapter. So with that first topic of defining juniors and seniors, the big thing was credit hours or credit units as a threshold for membership. And with that, we had some chapters have seniors established by credits already. And that's how they, consider the seniors for each individual chapter. Some chapters feel that having juniors has been a great thing for their chapter as well, especially with the chapters that may not have a large number of membership to begin with. And so that helps to bring in some new members to help have a solid foundation for the future of that chapter. And there was some talk of whether or not involving juniors would take away the prestige or a senior's leadership potential in something considered as a senior honor society. With the second topic, with the discussion of graduate students as members, we had the idea of having a chapter for grad students was thrown around, which would allow for support for grad students. And we had some discussion along with that, like whether a chapter would be too much in an institution to have a chapter of undergrad and then a chapter of grad, and concern with just multiple chapters in general. So that was the main discussion with that topic. And then with the third topic, with rolling or multi-year selections, the point was made of keeping rolling selections to keep those who may be studying abroad in mind. So people may not be actually on campus, but would want to be members. And then on the contrary, we had multi-year selections may help promote just membership in general to have more people in the chapter. And with all of that as well, we also had the point of maybe mortarboard and involvement fairs to help get the name out there, to also gauge early interest for students. Someone even mentioned, promoting mortarboard to freshman students or sophomore students, letting them know like, hey, this is what it is. And you can apply it later on, but just to have it on their radar. And so those were the main points that we talked about. Please, Nathan or anyone jump in if I missed anything. But yeah, this is what our main topic was with this.
Mason, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who joined this think tank, the idea of membership and how we continue to define that and support our chapters to grow our membership and ensure everyone who should have the opportunity to be part of Mortarboard does is something that is incredible. And I'm so excited for incoming President-elect Nathan Cordell's continued work on this topic, and hope more students want to stay involved in sharing your feedback based on the think tank discussion yesterday. Now I would like to call Avery Fire from the Tellian chapter at Northern Michigan University to present a summary of the discussion on our strategic plan and signature event.
Yeah, so we started this think tank off by basically just talking about the idea of having a signature event and kind of like what our goals for having a signature event would be. So a signature event would just be something that multiple chapters participated in. And so it's kind of something that would be an event that unifies us and again, helps get our word out there. But this is a plan that should also, increase our visibility, increase partnerships as well, and also just be something fun that ties into the national project, which of course is Reading is Leading. So an idea that has been talked about is doing a readathon. So something like this would be able to, kind of tweak based on each chapter. But we kind of just wanted to talk about the positives and negatives. So thinking about is this something that ties into things that your chapter already does? And of course, since a lot of us are new, we are just starting off in our chapters, but we did talk about how some of us do, book drives or fundraisers that have to do with selling books and stuff. So a readathon would be kind of a natural next step. And again, it does tie in to Reading is Leading. We also talked about some other positives of this would be it would really help us connect with other chapters and kind of bounce ideas off of each other, as well as it would open up our reach to elementary schools or children's hospitals as well, offering either donating books or reading to children or child students And then some of the cons or the things that we definitely would want to think about before ironing this out is definitely just how to start this all off. So I know we talked about having maybe some pilot chapters, which would be a great idea, because then, you know, we can kind of learn from a couple chapters as we go instead of just having everyone start all at once. But this wouldn't be something that would start until September 24. And we talked also about timing. So September we thought would be a good time because it kind of coincides with not only like the beginning of the year, but also with National Literacy Month. So yeah, we kind of just left off with thinking about how we could build this idea based on what we know already works and just kind of build off of it. So if we know that, you know, our chapter is really, you know, our members are really, you know, into this sort of idea, then maybe having like a new chair position or a committee position. So yeah, our think tank was very discussion based, and we kind of just like ironed out all the pros and cons. So again, if anyone from that think tank wants to put anything in the chat, or if you guys have any ideas that you've heard or thought of after hearing about this, just, yeah, put it in the chat. But yeah, it was a very interesting and fun thing to think about for sure.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for that fantastic report. The idea of a signature event is something we've become very excited about, but also know that that will only work if it's something that our collegiate members would be excited about and that could work on most campuses. So I hope that you will continue to share your ideas with us and keep the conversation going. But great report out, and thank you so much. Last but not least, I'd love to invite Kara Sogsdill from the Red Tassel chapter at Illinois State University to present a summary of the discussion on governance.
Katie, yesterday in the governance think tank, one of the big topics that we discussed was letting juniors join mortarboard, which was one of the resolutions from last year's conference. We talked about different ways that that might look. One idea was to get an idea of junior members that would be potential members for mortarboard in their senior year and having them be involved so that they know what mortarboard stood for, they understood the organization and they were familiar with it. That way in their senior year, when they were ready to apply, they would be right there because they'd spent the last year kind of developing those relationships and being with mortarboard. Another topic for discussion that was very popular was ways that we could make governance more accessible to the chapters. And one of the ways that was discussed to do that was to have some kind of chat system within regions where all the different chapters can get together and have conversations about what's going on with them and ways that, you know, they can maybe help each other out if one is struggling with something. So we discussed options like having a GroupMe or a Discord or emails, you know, what would be the best way for everybody to interact with each other. And the general consensus was emails were pretty good for formal conversations, but something like a GroupMe was a little bit more personal and would probably be more approachable for most people to go to have an ongoing, continuing conversation. Another idea kind of going off with membership for juniors was mentoring juniors, maybe inviting them into those events, getting them going, things to make mortarboard more present so that underclassmen know about the organization, they're familiar with it, so that people aren't surprised when they get an email saying, hey, you can join mortarboard, and they're not thinking, well, I've never heard of this, I don't know what it is. Just ways to get people more involved. Going to transfer fairs to get transfer students in, because sometimes there are transfer students that come in with that number of hours that would allow them to join right off the bat, and that way that they know about it. Because as a senior honor society, if they're coming from a community college, they would have no familiarity with mortarboard. Somebody tossed out the name Mortarboard Junior, which I thought was awesome. I kind of liked that because it's for juniors and it's like a step in, and I thought Mortarboard Junior was great. But that's really the things that we talked about with governance yesterday.
Thank you so much, Kara, and to everyone else who came to that third session. It was such an awesome opportunity to talk about something so important, which is ensuring we truly are an organization that is run by our collegiate members, and that governance and everything that we focus on can be driven by the collegiate experience. Just this morning, hearing Waleed on the DEIB panel say that the programming at last year's conference helped him understand better what DEIB meant, and that inspired all of the great work his chapter did that we heard about this morning, was so exciting, because in 2020 and 2021, our students asked for us to do more DEIB programming by national leaders and by leaders that are more representative of marginalized communities. And so I'm really excited to not only have these report outs from the think tank, so thank you. Let's give a virtual round of applause for these collegiate members who volunteered on the spot to take notes and then speak in our business meeting. But I'm very excited to bring back to the conversation the chairs of the Resolutions and Recommendations Committee, Nick Rodriguez from the Fairmount chapter at Wichita State University, and Kara Stogsdill from the Red Tassel chapter at Illinois State University, to present the committee's report for the 60th National Conference of Mortar Board.
Thank you, Katie. Our committee met several times across this weekend and had great input from students across the delegation. I would like to start by thanking our committee members who provided fantastic ideas and input across the weekend. Gabrielle Tessier, also the new student representative at large from the Hui Po Okela chapter at University of Hawaii at Manoa, and Maya Eldon from the J&K Smith Cap and Gown chapter at San Diego State University. As a reminder, Article 5, Section 1.6 in our national bylaws outlines that resolutions are the society's formal statement of philosophy or its deliberate choice of action and are effective for the next 2 years. Resolutions are looked at by the society for organizational direction and by chapters for programming direction. Conference recommendations are items suggested for the society's leadership or chapters to consider. Thank you for all of your input on this year's conference resolutions and recommendations. We are putting forward 3 number of resolutions and recommendations for the 60th National Conference. And I'll turn it over to Nick.
Thank you. Resolution number 1, whereas the issues of greater communication and connectivity are needed to support the shift in technology for Mortar Board members, be it resolved that the committee recommends the implementation of a third-party messaging platform, such as Discord or GroupMe, to be used. Resolution number 2, whereas Mortar Board is deeply committed to increasing membership, be it resolved that chapters should undertake efforts to outreach and recruit members who are transfers, veterans, and other non-traditional groups who may not be aware that they are eligible for membership. And number 3, whereas Mortar Board is committed to leadership development and mentorship on our campuses, be it resolved that chapters should undertake efforts to include students of the junior class in community outreach programs and mentor these students toward Mortar Board membership.
Thank you so much, Kara and Nick, and this fabulous committee. These are fantastic resolutions and recommendations. I'd like to now call a vote on accepting these from our conference committee. And given that this motion also comes from a committee, it does not require a second. Is there any discussion, debate, or questions you'd like to ask before we take the official vote? Seeing none, I will go ahead and call the vote again. As a reminder, each chapter can have 1 official delegate cast a ballot. I will ask for a raise of hands for affirmative, any who are not in favor, and any who abstain. So first, all those in favor of accepting the 3 resolutions and recommendations for the 2023 Mortar Board National Conference, please raise your hand. Fantastic. All right, you can put your hands down. Any who oppose accepting this motion from the committee? Any who abstain? Okay, Thank you. The motion carries. Thank you again to the Resolutions and Recommendations Committee and all of you who have given input this weekend at conference. You've done a fantastic job ensuring the student voice is loud and clear this weekend. We are thrilled to see how this work will continue in the year ahead. Next, I'd love to give a special thank you and shout out to our fabulous conference advisory board for this year's conference. Please give it up for Caitlin Kant from the Tassels chapter at Illinois State University, Tamika Lovelace from the Jane K. Smith Cap and Gown chapter at San Diego State University, and Julia Scharf from the Mabel G. Freeman chapter at The Ohio State University. They have been working all hours of the day and night to make this conference so fun. You have epitomized what it means to be a mortarboard leader, and with your innovation, creativity, hard work, and positive attitudes all weekend, this has been a fantastic event. Thank you for making this conference a great success and ensuring our collegiate members had a ton of fun. I mean, I wish I could have gone to some of those after-hour events that I heard about on Whova. Now, I'd love to turn it over to the Cabs, Tamika and Caitlin, to announce our official conference t-shirt and some other fun prize giveaways.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you to all those who voted for the t-shirt design. We had almost 60 students vote. We're excited to share the results with you. We had a pretty close vote between the top two colors. Since there was only a 3-vote difference, if for any reason the first color is unavailable due to supply chain issues, we'll default to the second color.
I'm thrilled to announce that the color of the t-shirt is my personal favorite, lavender. Our backup color is going to be charcoal gray, and we'll get the conference t-shirt into production and it will be mailed to you in August. Thank you again for participating.
Fantastic. Thank you. I did not vote because I'm not a collegiate member and I followed the rules, but I was kind of secretly hoping for lavender. So awesome. It was such a fun event. I think this might be the first time, at least in the last 17 years, that we've gotten a chance to have collegiate members vote on the colors. This is fantastic. So next, it is my pleasure to honor our 3 retiring National Council members. The first is Margaret Meyer-Henry, who was initiated into mortarboard at the Keystone chapter of the University of South Dakota in 2021. Margaret was elected student representative at our last virtual national conference and has served as both vice president and president of her local chapter. Margaret attended a young alumni meetup last summer in Washington, D.C. when she was interning on Capitol Hill and co-led a session of the 2022 National Conference. Margaret graduated this past May with a BMA in vocal music and a minor in political science. And this coming fall, she will attend DePaul University in Chicago to pursue her master's in vocal performance. Margaret, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and to serve alongside you on the National Council. The second retiring National Council member, Jenny Birch-Lewinsky, moderated our fantastic panel earlier this morning. Jenny was initiated into mortarboard in 1993 at the Barbara Cook chapter at Purdue University. Jenny is completing her second term as the alumni representative on the National Council, where she has co-chaired the Alumni Awards Committee and served as a member of the Strategic Planning Committee. She moved into the alumni representative role after serving as the secretary-treasurer for the Mortarboard National Council, where she was also an ex officio member of the Mortarboard National Foundation. Previously, Jenny also served for many years as a section coordinator. Jenny, her husband Matt, and her daughter Anna, hopefully her son in a couple of years, are all Purdue mortarboards. Jenny has been a passionate voice in national leadership and has focused on us really elevating the collegiate voice. She's a fierce advocate for what is right, and I've personally come to value Jenny's perspective on any topic related to mortarboard or otherwise. I know that she will always provide an honest assessment and encourage us to live up to our ideals as an organization. Finally, Gail Harrison Corvette, who was initiated into the Ohio State University in 1980, is finishing a fabulous run on the National Council. We've been lucky to have Gail serve in multiple roles and come back to take a leadership role with the National Council. Gail currently serves as immediate past president of the National Council after serving as president from 2019 to 2021, where she also served as an ex officio on the Mortarboard National Foundation. Gail steered mortarboard through a global pandemic, the launch of our current strategic plan, and a much needed rebrand for Mortarboard, which gave our online presence a major upgrade in 2021. Gail fiercely advocated for a deeper bench for volunteer leaders and was masterful at bringing back more committees to Mortarboard Inc. She appointed Candy Hironaka Pitts to chair our standing DIB committee, which has really pushed Mortarboard into a new era of living up to our purpose to promote equal opportunities among all peoples. Gail chairs the Standing Nominations Committee, has kindly offered to teach yoga virtually and in person at every opportunity we've asked her to, and is a member of the Mortarboard Singers. Gail previously spent years as a board of trustee member for the Mortarboard Foundation and spent time on the National Council in the 1980s with other esteemed alumni here today, such as Kay McKenzie, Mabel Freeman, Susan Doss, and Barb Arnold. They got a fun picture last night at our president's reception. Gail also led the process to install our newest chapter at the College of Charleston. In honor of Jenny and Gail's retiring from the National Council, several friends and alumni gave to the Mortarboard Gail Harrison Corvette Leadership Development and the Purdue 5 Deans Endowment Funds to honor Jenny and Gail's longstanding service to Mortarboard. The Mortarboard Gail Harrison Corvette Leadership Development Endowment was created to push forward leadership development initiatives by ensuring funding for yearly grants. And the Purdue 5 Deans Endowment Fund honors 5 legendary deans of women or deans of students from Purdue from the 1930s to the 1990s. Dorothy C. Stratton, Helen B. Schliemann, M. Beverly Stone, Barbara I. Cook, and Betty M. Nelson. Thank you to those who gave in honor of these longstanding Mortarboard volunteers, and Jenny and Gail. Thank you so much for all you have given to Mortarboard across the decades. And now, before we install our 2023-2024 Mortarboard National Council, I want to take a quick moment to share my sincere appreciation for the opportunity to serve as your national president. I never expected to be national president, and definitely not at this point in my life. I was shocked when our former executive director, Jane Hamblin, let me know that I'd been nominated 5 years ago. My job at the time was at a very toxic company, and I felt completely overwhelmed at work. And the session the other night about work-life balance brought back so many memories. I was in a complete imbalance professionally, and so I wondered how I could take on something more. But I also thought about, like Gail said, all of the amazingly accomplished members who could do a better job than I could in this role. And as you've seen this weekend, we have a powerhouse of alumni. However, I felt a tug in my heart, much like I did when I was at Hood College and ran for chapter president. And I felt compelled to consider the question. So my first stop was calling my personal board of directors, like my friend Dr. Sarah Nazem, who's here, and from Michigan. I listened to their advice and listened to that heart tug, answering the call to serve, and I'm so glad that I did. I never could have known at the time, but answering that call gave me the courage to leave that toxic job and something I desperately needed to do, and it gave me the opportunity to serve as president-elect as the same executive director, Jane Hamblin, announced her retirement. I work in HR, and that gave me the opportunity to use those HR skills that I've honed professionally to chair our executive director search committee, thanks to Gail's ask. The committee selected the fabulous Dr. Kirsten Fox, one of the first advisors I met as a section coordinator and a role model for me. It's been such a joy walking this road with her, as she's done such an amazing job setting up our national organization for long-term sustainability and success. And along with that joy, I've had a chance to lead 2 fantastic national council teams who've been motivated and committed to setting up Mortarboard to thrive in the second century. I should say lead with, because I didn't lead them on my own. We've had to make some tough decisions and have grappled with local and national pressures, and yet I can't imagine going through that journey with any other team. And so I was blessed to learn so much from our retiring immediate past president, Gail Harrison Corvette, to see her modeling the way to ensure our National Council has strategic goals that we keep our eyes on and elevate the student voice at every turn in every decision we make. And now today, I'm so honored and excited to see all that our incoming president-elect, Dr. Cassandra Lucas, is bringing to the table in this new role as our national president. Cass, you are one of the most strategic, forward-thinking, inspirational leaders that I've had the pleasure of working alongside, Plus, you're the best host calling in from the room I got to stay in Arizona earlier this year, and roommate to have on a trip to Columbus. I am so optimistic for our future, and I'm thrilled to see how you will lead in this next chapter. And so, Cass, hold on, let me get my technical right. I am thrilled to officially pass the gavel. Whoop. And extend my congratulations as you step into the role as our 32nd National President of Mortar Board. And to all of you here today, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve as your National President. I hope that each of you will have an amazing year ahead in Mortar Board, and that you'll listen for those moments when you're called to do something that puts you a bit outside of your comfort zone. You never know if it can change your life.
Sorry, I have to, Katie, that was a beautiful, beautiful speech. And you have been a phenomenal mortar board. You spent a lot of time talking about servant leadership. And I mentioned this to others. You talk about being a servant leader in practice, but I still think you are the epitome of a servant leader. I am so proud to call you my friend. And I didn't expect to have Katie tears, but you are just truly one of the best human beings I have ever met. And we are all better people because of you. So thank you. So now it's time for a very special part of this weekend, the installation of next year's National Council. Members of the 2023-2024 National Council, please come off mute as we prepare to install the new National Council. As you prepare, let me introduce you to our 2023-2024 Council. Board of Trustees, President Dr. Barbara Arnold from the Pennsylvania State University. Immediate past President Katie Chick from Hood College. Alumni Representative at Large Wilson Chan from the University of Louisville. Alumni Representative at Large Mohammed Hill from the University of California, Berkeley. Student Representative at Large, Gabrielle Tassier from the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Student Representative at Large, Michaela Johnson from North Dakota State University. Secretary Amy Abernathy from Queens College of Charlotte. Treasurer Brianna Keaton from Washington State University. Vice President Patience Whitworth from the Ohio State University. President-elect Nathan Cordell from the University of Alabama. And National President Dr. Cassandra Lucas. National Council of 2023-2024, you are about to be installed before the entire delegation. You stand before the members you serve, both collegiate and alumni. You are the society's bridge between the present and its future. As a member of the National Council, will you hold high the torch as you steward the daily business of the society, remembering always our ideals of scholarship, leadership, and service? Please respond, I will, if so.
I will.
I will. Will you hold high the torch to guide Mortar Board's prominence in higher education, its relevance to its diverse membership, and its longstanding commitment of service to the college and university community?
I will.
Will you promise to serve without fail throughout your term of office?
I will.
I will.
Please join me in thanking and encouraging our National Council with a round of applause. Now it is my pleasure to introduce for the first time as National President, Dr. Cassandra Lucas from the Barbara Cook chapter at Purdue University.
Thank you, Kirsten. Oh, wow. So what an amazing conference. Will you please join me in one more round of applause and kudos and chats and snaps and hearts and all the emojis and feels for our conference and standing committees, our CAB, section coordinators, Mortar Board, National Foundation Board of Trustees, National Council, presenters, National Office, and everyone else who's helped to make this such a fantastic conference. And also, how inspirational was Bushra Amawala? Her 3 take-home points: do 5% more, invite others to do more, and there's no such thing as the right time, only the right action, really resonated with me. One of the mantras that has been shared with me over the years is, if you want something done, ask someone in Mortar Board. In addition, one of my favorite quotes, which is from Eleanor Roosevelt, is, good leaders inspire people to have confidence in their leader. Great leaders inspire people to have confidence in themselves. And finally, it is a good reminder for all of us to accept opportunities that come to us, even if we think we are not ready for them or it is a wrong time. What a great keynote. And so while I know you've had a chance to see and hear from me throughout the conference, I wanted to take this opportunity to formally introduce myself. I am Cassandra Lucas. I am a first-generation college student. I am a Chicagoan and a Cubs fan. I am a Boilermaker, a historian, and a traveler. I'm a lifelong learner and a strategic planning nerd. And I am honored and humbled to be your newest national president. And I am Mortar Board. But I also stand on shoulders. I stand on the shoulders of activists who have fought for the advancement of women and equity, inclusion, and belonging for all peoples. I stand on the shoulders of my family and friends, and I stand on the shoulders of my mentors, my cheerleaders, and my role models. I stand on the shoulders of our 2 recent past presidents, Gail Harrison Corvette and Katie Chick, who are role models as servant leaders and leave very big shoes to fill. And I stand on the shoulders of our National Council, including our very impressive Executive Director, Dr. Kirsten Fox, and our Board of Trustees, section coordinators, and National Office. And most importantly, I stand on the shoulders of all Mortar Boards, past and present, who have answered the call to serve this organization and strive to be the change. These shoulders lift me up, they provide me guidance and support, and they act as a solid foundation for me to build my life on. And one of the additional benefits of all of those shoulders is that they teach you lessons that you can carry with you throughout your life. You have heard about many of my shoulders from Purdue University: Dorothy Stratton, Helen Schliemann, Bev Stone, and Barb Cook. You also had a chance last night to hear from Captain Sally Watlington, who is simply amazing. And just recently from my friend, Jenny Birch-Zielinski, who tapped me into Mortar Board many years ago. And there are 2 additional mentors from Purdue who hold very special places in my heart. Dr. Jane Hamblin, former Executive Director of Mortar Board and my advisor when I was president of the Barbara Cook chapter at Purdue, and Dean Betty Nelson, former Dean of Students at Purdue, who was Dean of Students when I was a student. I do not exaggerate when I say that I would not be here today if I had not met these 2 women. They helped shape the student leader I became at Purdue. They provided me opportunities to lead and grow during my collegiate years and supported me throughout my Mortar Board presidency. And they have cheered me on through various life decisions and transitions. And they are a big part of why I stand before you today as national president. In fact, Jane Hamblin asked me to serve Mortar Board a number of times since I graduated from from Purdue. First as a CAB, and then to help charter the Mortar Board Alumni Association, to read fellowship applications, and about 10 years ago said it was finally time for me to step into national leadership roles. First as a section coordinator, then as an alumni representative, and now today as national president. And this is what we do as Mortar Boards. We answer the call to serve. We act as leaders of leaders. We engage in scholarship. We serve our society, our alma mater, and our community. And we build environments that create equity, inclusion, and belonging. We are the change. But I ask you to be one more thing: a giraffe. Betty Nelson, who is here today and graciously agreed to let me borrow her thoughts and continues to provide me with guidance and support as recently as this week, told me many years ago that I was a giraffe. Luckily for me, she was not just assigning random animal spirits one day. No, she had a very clear explanation for the care and feedings of giraffes. You see, as a giraffe, you are different from the rest of the crowd. You commit to leadership, scholarship, service, and equity when you could be doing a number of other things, for example, sleeping in this morning, and you reach and move ahead. You stand taller and see more clearly what needs to be done. In fact, you look for improvements to make. You have a longer neck and you're willing to stick it out for some issues you believe are important, and you take a stand. And finally, you don't make a lot of noise, but when you do, people listen. You're willing to speak out for matters you believe are important and don't just talk, but say something. So I still have my giraffe from those days and keep it close by to remind me of these important attributes. So today, at the end of our 2023 National Conference and the beginning of my term as your national president, I ask you to join me in 3 things. Stand proudly on the shoulders that surround you. Be a giraffe. Be the change. Thank you for all that you did to make this a great conference, and best wishes for the great rest of your weekend, a wonderful summer, and a truly inspiring upcoming year. Now, it's very important. The last piece of business here today is it's time to adjourn the business meeting. If you would like to move to adjourn, please raise your hand, delegates, and I will call on you. We need a motion, requires an acceptance and then, or a nomination and then a second. If somebody could help me in the chat, let me know who to call on, that would be great. All right, so I see Shaw Gill. And then it looks like we have a second from Kara Stotsbill. It has been moved and seconded that this business meeting will be adjourned. This motion is not debatable. All those in favor, please signify by raising your virtual hand. All right, are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Wonderful. I call this business meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.